Hello, everybody. It's George from Ireland. Welcome back to my channel, commenting on the terrible aviation tragedy, and that is that the AZAL jet, which crashed in Kazakhstan on Christmas Day and killed 39 people. The pilot, the co-pilot, one air stewardess, and the rest were passengers. So what happened? Was it shot down by the Russian military? And it's probable that it was. Was this cock up a conspiracy? I think definitely cock up. I can't perceive of any possible reason why the Russian armed forces would want to shoot down an Azerbaijani civilian airliner at the moment, because relations between Russia and Azerbaijan at the height of their cordiality in the post-Soviet era. Remember Putin, he visited Azerbaijan just a couple of months ago. He was rapturously received. He said he hailed the family ambiance with which he was welcomed there. So Azerbaijan's imposed no sanctions on Russia, trading as normal, no criticism of the Ukrainian invasion, no military aid, tiny bit of humanitarian aid to the Ukrainians, no military aid to the Ukrainians. Whereas the Armenian prime minister's wife visited Kiev. Moscow did not take well to that. The Armenians, yes, they're still formally members of that Russian-led military alliance, a collective security treaty organization, but they suspended cooperation. They don't send delegates to its conferences. They are openly, completely disaffected from Russia, musing about withdrawing from the CSTO, and Russia's given no help to Armenia, even when Azerbaijan is on Armenian soil, Armenia proper, not just Nagorno-Karabakh. Um, so why would they do this? They wouldn't do it. We're just simply an alienated country that's getting along very well with Russia at the moment. And of course, Azerbaijan is a fairly major oil and gas exporter, could cause those prices to go down, which Russia really doesn't want, or could reduce production and make them go high. So a lot of circumvention of sanctions is via Azerbaijan. Russians wanting to go to the west, often change planes in Baku, often flying AZAL. One of my students did that, for example. So I think this is just getting it wrong. And a lot of air forces have done this, a case of sort of friendly fire. I know it's not actually a Russian plane and it's not a combat situation, but mistaking an Azerbaijani Airlines jet, an Embraer jet, for an enemy aircraft or a missile or something like that. And you know, the United States military's done this. The U.S. Navy, the USS Valenciennes, shot down that Iranian passenger plane. What was it, in 1988? Killed hundreds of people. Things like this have happened before. The Soviets shot down a Korean Airlines airliner about 1981, killed like over 200 people. These things have happened before. Okay, so the plane, it was struck by something over the Caspian Sea. So it's really a lake, but it's surrounded by Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan. But they weren't blown out of the air, severely damaged. Requested permission to land at Grozny in Russia. That's the capital of Chechnya, but Russian air traffic control said no, you can't do that. So the Civil Aviation Agency said the situation was complicated. I mean, they're always the word they come up when things are impossible, or they just want to refuse things but don't have a proper excuse. Slozhny, and said that they closed their skies. They said it's because the Ukrainians are using their drones over the Grozny area. Okay, but wait a second, but loads of civilian airliners fly over that area anyway. Russia, Aeroflot, and so on. Okay, so they couldn't go there. So where were they going to land? And they then flew over the Caspian to try and have an emergency landing in Akhtar, Kazakhstan. Had the Russians let them land at Grozny, they probably would have been all right, because the situation got worse. So missile fragments, they hit the hydraulic system, it seems. Anyway, so fortunately, at least 29 people have survived. Some of them were badly wounded, and a few of them may yet die. So there's been some testimony from the survivors. Like one of the air stewards said that everyone was panicked. They were hit by something. The plane was hit or something. Trying to get people to be tranquil and to stay in their seats, but obviously there was consternation. I will be in pandemonium as well. Okay, so Russia has stopped flights to Makhachkala and Grozny. So there's areas in the Russian Caucasus. The Israeli national carrier El Al, as meaning the skies, they've forbidden their airlines to fly into Russian airspace, because what's going to happen? Are they going to get shot down too? So some ethnic Kazakhs, I see, Karakalpakstan. Oh, I know about those people. Yeah. So the western side of Uzbekistan, black hat country. I know those demonstrations a couple of years ago, because apparently, according to the Uzbek constitution, do I pronounce Uzbek well? That Karakalpakstan had the right to secede, and then that was going to be taken away. Major demonstrations. Do it pilot error? I mean, just possibly, and correct actions. I don't see what he was doing wrong. He was flying normally, according to a pre-approved flight plan. A missile strikes your plane. What do? If you're not blown to smithereens immediately, you try and land as fast as possible. And Russia is not letting him land as fast as possible. Where's the next nearest airport? Any port in a storm? Okay, Akhtar, Kazakhstan. And so that kept them in the air for at least half an hour longer than they needed to be. They did manage a crash landing in Kazakhstan. So it's going to be investigated. Much of the fuselage has survived. You can see it's pockmarked from whatever where it was struck by shrapnel. Would that be the right word? So did the Russians mistake it for an Ukrainian military aircraft? But the Ukrainians, they don't fly over Russian airspace. They think Russian air defense is too good. So that makes it unlikely. But well, there's always a first time. Maybe the Ukrainians are doing this deliberately. Maybe the Ukrainians were very dastardly and deliberately flying behind or just under or whatever a civilian airliner, so that maybe we don't spot them, or we're reluctant to shoot at them for fear of shooting down this one. Now, I'm told that quite a few of the passengers on the plane were Russians. So it's very unlikely that Russia would deliberately shoot this down. I think it's just an honest mistake. But no doubt the Kremlin will lie about this, as they lie about everything. Oh, no, nothing to do with us. They can't admit that their people screwed up. Remember the Iranians, they shot down a Ukrainian civilian airliner a few years ago and lied about it, and then decided to fess up, yes, that they did shoot it down. So I don't think it's on Putin's orders. Evil bastard he most certainly is. But on this occasion, he's innocent. So people much lower down the chain of command had got it wrong. So Russia wanted its air disaster investigators in to Kazakhstan, and no doubt they've been ordered by the Kremlin. You exculpate Russia. No Russian did anything wrong. It was pilot error or something else. Now, it won't be long. You mark my words. Remember, we heard it first. They'll blame the Ukrainians. They'll say it was a Ukrainian bomber, a Ukrainian missile, or the Americans or whatever, or the British or something, that they were behind it, this terrorist incident, that they shot it down for whatever reason. And obviously, there are enough polezny idioti who will fall for that one. And obviously, there's no reason for Ukraine to do it. Cui bono? Who benefits from this? Nobody really. I mean, I suppose anyone who'd want to impair relations between Azerbaijan and Russia, and all right, the Ukrainians, that would suit them. But then if the Azerbaijanis suspect that Ukraine is behind it, then that would be very bad for their relations. Now, Ukraine and Azerbaijan don't have much to do with each other. But Ukraine really doesn't need more enemies. So Azerbaijan is in a very powerful position, can sell ever more oil and gas to Western countries. There's European Union countries in particular, which are trying to wean themselves off Russian hydrocarbons. And the EU is reluctant to alienate them. I don't think the Armenians would do this. I mean, that would be someone the Azerbaijanis might wish to blame. So the plot thickens. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate to PayPal, georgecallahan79 @gmail.com. Goodbye.